Are you
Good morning, beautiful people. It's Wake Up in the Den. I'm ulei Agbayani alongside Michael Lasquero on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, streaming on hawaiisportsradio.com and also streaming live on our YouTube channel as well. Thank you guys for tuning in this and every weekday morning live on our website or via the app or every single Monday on our YouTube channel. We appreciate all of you that do, and thank you for hanging out with us. Feel free to chime in on the live YouTube chat, or you can text us at 808-888-KGU1. That's 808-888-5481 if you do want to get in on the conversation, as Michael is just trying to figure himself out there with the microphone right now. But hopefully our internet and everything holds up just fine. It was being a little wonky, as to be expected. Everything was going accordingly to plan, and then it just wanted to slow up on the internet side of things. But seems like we are rocking and a rolling. And again, we appreciate you guys for joining us today. Definitely get into a lot of University of Hawaii athletics, as we always do. But it is draft week. The NFL draft. That's going to be really exciting as well. 2 o'clock p.m. on Thursday is the first round, and I don't think anyone's looking forward to this as much as Paul Brecht is. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes.
Well, in the past couple of years, we've done a first round draft show. We did one 2 years ago at our old original station, and then we did one last year at our recent one. So I don't know. Are we having one this year, Ku?
I have no idea. Honestly, it's because we've never had a play-by-play schedule that was this condensed in the month of April as well.
Thursday has an open date, so it's there. Well, let us know in the YouTube comments or text us if you guys want to, because if you want to give us rest, you can also give us rest.
So again, a packed, just a whole, well, and then I'm thinking, because we're going to have a lot of football YouTube themed stuff that we're planning for the fall. So stuff that we haven't done before. And that's how everything's going to get situated. So again, feel free to chime in to see what you guys want, but we appreciate all of you guys for joining us. Michael, what is going on there? You should know by now, because Paul knows that because I just have like ADD, and like if you are fidgety in my peripheral, like I cannot focus as much, and I have no idea what's going on with you. At least the people in YouTube can see what I'm dealing with, but those of you that are just listening, you don't really see how much Michael is trying to adjust his chair, adjust the microphone. And yeah, as you guys know, in the past, when Paul is even simply just texting just ever so quickly sometimes during the show across from me, then I get like distracted. So I'm hoping Michael is situated by now. The chair's higher. Like, I don't even know what's going on over here.
Well, it's all about the look, right? And I look kind of short on the YouTube, and I didn't realize that last time. But I think last time too, where my head was, because I'm shorter than Paul, unfortunately. Like I had to adjust my mic because the mic was covering my face, but it's actually the height of the chair that's what it is. So I think I'm okay now, because like in the previous week,
now like you're above the table.
Nobody knows that.
It does on your single shot.
Okay, well, when I see it on the YouTube.
Anyways, hopefully Michael is all situated by now, because we got to get into some sports. Again, we'll get into a bunch of UH athletics. We'll get into more detailed conversation about the NFL draft as this show goes along. Definitely talk about some NBA, because how about that Orlando Magic? Orlando Magic. Orlando Magic. Oh, I couldn't play the actual song before we get in trouble from YouTube. So, yeah, the Orlando Magic. We'll definitely talk a little bit more about that now that it's a happy first round. You know, kind of a little worrisome throughout the play-in tournament, but nonetheless made it here and beat the number 1 seed. So there you go. Hey, let's go Orlando. I saw a lot of tweets, and I'm glad I'm not the only one that basically everyone was saying like this was the team that everyone thought Orlando was supposed to be during the regular season. And then the regular season just wasn't going accordingly. As I just mentioned, they had to play in the play-in tournament. So that just shows how their regular season went. But then now they're coming together. You thought like last season they looked pretty good, and then they traded for Desmond Bain, and you're like, yeah, they're going to be great. And then the regular season was just mid, and it was very, very frustrating. But nonetheless, hopefully this is how it is for. But maybe the Detroit Pistons are just coming off of just not playing. I don't know, but I will take it. I will take that game 1 win and essentially taking home court advantage for now in that version of the playoffs. But we'll talk about all about that. And then I know, we came out with 2 wins this week. Even Paul, huh? So we're looking good. We're looking good here. As at least Michael is still very much sporting his Pacers hat. So that's good. In spirit.
Because they need to know that the success they're enjoying this year is just for this year, because we'll be back next year. Let's go. But also cool, it's just 1 game with the Orlando Magic. I mean, Paulo Banchero didn't look good in that first play-in game, but he looked good yesterday. So I think that's kind of how it goes for the Pistons. You know, they're the number 1 seed. I mean, Cade Cunningham still working his way back from injury. They're going to have to figure out what they're going to do with Asar Thompson, though, because if he can't score on offense, that's going to be exposure. And I think the Magic kind of know who they are, and they have been battle-tested. I mean, you have Paulo Banchero, then you also have Suggs, and you also have Desmond Bain. So they kind of know who they are, while the Pistons are still kind of a young team, and they're trying to figure it out. So, it's going to be a fun playoffs. I mean, I'm glad it was somewhat competitive, because the 2 games before that was like had the Boston Celtics beating the 76ers, and I texted Paul and Zor a funny video that I need to show you during the break, too. But Zor was like, yeah, we are a football city. And then OKC and whoever OKC played, I was like, we blazing OKC's defense, even though it was whistled for a foul on that play. So I'm glad your game was competitive.
And I'm glad they won in that game, as always. But again, we'll talk about some NBA, get into some other stuff. University of Hawaii men's volleyball clinching the number 1 overall seed in the Big West Conference tournament happening this week. But also because they had clinched they clinched a share on Friday when they beat CSUN of the regular season title, and then won it outright after their win on Saturday. Electrifying crowd as to be expected. Jordan Lucas in all his glory, as what we expected, and the crowd of it. You had Vladimir Kubr be celebrated as the lone senior. He got the start. He also set Trent Rosenthal for a kill. Like, it was just a fun overall weekend against CSUN, as we were kind of talking about on Friday's show, that this shouldn't, and from a volleyball standpoint, it shouldn't even be like a match. You know, there was a little wonky in game 2. You can't just, they got into some other ways that they get in sometimes, and they just don't want to play clean volleyball, but then able to turn it around and come out with that win. And we were mentioning it on Friday that because we had expected it to be this type of wipeout of CSUN, that Vladimir could get in, and this is probably the only time that he would be able to play for the rest of the season, because every single game matters from here on out for the Rainbow Warrior volleyball team. So it was nice to not only see him just check in, get the start, but also play a decent amount of time, all things considering, because it was a reserve. He was just happy to be part of the culture here. Trent Rosenthal essentially taking a seat back to let him get that start. So overall, good vibes this weekend at Bank Arena at Stan Sheriff Center.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that he was going to play. I mean, you're like the only senior, so I think it would be, it wouldn't be Hawaii if the lone senior on the squad did not get a chance to play. So it was cool to see him get the start. I think by the time he checked out in the first set, it was 10-3. And yeah, he got a chance to be a serving sub, get in there, make some couple plays, get couple, I think, assists. One as well, and then Tread definitely with that big kill on the right side. I think that's something that we might need to put in the universe to maybe add to the repertoire as an option, especially when you got a young setter in Magnus that can maybe not for the tournament, but maybe next season, because as Tread will be a senior. But yeah, that was a fun time for the fans. And Jordan Lucas, one of our interns, Daniel Fujita, has a nice reel on our Instagram page. You can go out and watch that and see some of the quote-unquote antics that some people like to call it, or just him being himself. So a good time all around. And yeah, tournament is this weekend at the Brand Center. And, we're not there in person doing our show, Coop, but maybe we'll be on the road sometime soon on this airwaves.
Possibly. We have a lot of games to do here back at home. We got a bunch of OIA coverage coming up. I'll be going out to Kiwalos later on today. It is a beautiful day, actually. There is the OIA surfing finals that are happening today. The first one ever already got underway with the boys shortboard competition. So it goes all throughout the day, and then the final heats are towards the end of the afternoon. So we'll be out there. They're out at Kiwalos right now. But again, the weather looks like it's holding up. I haven't got a chance to check the surf report yet, but hopefully it's good out there for all of the high schoolers that are competing in the OIA today. So once again, the boys bodyboard competition starting things off and are on right now. Quarterfinal in heat number 1. We'll try to get you some updates as I go throughout the show, but I will be out, like I said, tomorrow or to this afternoon at Kiwalo to give you guys coverage on our social media, and then we'll talk about it and hopefully get a chance to catch up with some of the winners or coaches that you will be able to hear from in tomorrow's show. But with that, we also have some OIA baseball action tomorrow. We'll be out at Moanalua for Aiea and Moanalua for the Division 1 playoffs. This weekend Wednesday, we'll have HPU baseball senior night that's already here. So that'll be another one as they take on Chaminade once again to close things out. This weekend, we will be covering OIA baseball and softball championships Friday and Saturday, and then Sunday to close out our week. I mean, I know technically Sunday is the first day of the week, but we look at it here from a Monday through Sunday standpoint. Sunday, though, closing out the week for HPU softball senior day as they host one of the top teams actually in the Pac West in Hilo. So that is what our week looks like so far. Tune in. You guys can go to the app to see the schedules as well, and of course on our website. So a lot of options for you guys right there, but that's just a look at what's happening this week on Hawaii Sports Radio Network, in addition to, of course, our morning show that we have for you every single weekday morning from 8 to 10. But fun afternoon all the way through. And in between there, like we said, in between there, you got the NFL draft happening on Thursday. And technically the first round of the Big West Conference tournament for men's volleyball. However, our men get a bye into the semifinals, so they're not up until Friday. They'll take on the winner of UC Santa Barbara and UC San Diego at 2:00 p.m. Hawaii time on Friday. So packed week as we make the final push, not just for us, but just in general, like the final push of the traditional sports calendar season here. And that'll take us through about mid-May before we officially hit the summer months, as we like to call it in the world of sports. Woo!
Yes, it's a busy time, and I'm glad that our team is somewhat bigger, that we have some help crews, so it definitely helps things going. But yeah, a lot of big state tournaments also coming up. I think you have plans to cover the surfing championships for sure, state championships. But I mean, obviously, it has to be during the day or during the hours where there's sun. I don't know if maybe you could do a little vlog. You go to Maui for the championships, and then come back here for, crossing our fingers, a regional for the men's volleyball team. That could be something, right? Cool.
Yeah.
We'll show the potential sponsors in the future. And I mean, I don't want to be like just kind of throwing it out there and just kind of like asking for money from our sponsors. But the last time I did, someone did come up to us and was like, okay, you know what? Maybe I'll sponsor that for the losing team. MVP something. So just putting it out there, cool. If you don't want to be with your bad self, you're a social, as Kyle Gader likes to say, a social media savant.
Oh gosh.
Going to Maui one day and come back for men's volleyball. It's possible. I've done it, I've done it.
Nothing will ever beat and I am so sorry that I never, for all of the beautiful people, I never did what I had envisioned and intended I do. I just but although Carlo Jimenez at the LA Clippers play-by-play guy does really awesome reels, and I had asked him, like, how long does it take you to do those? Because, like, for me, like, to do the really fancy stuff, even if for those of you guys that see reels and stuff, like, it's only a minute long essentially, but then like that 1 minute, because you have so many different clips and have to edit it a certain way, it can take you like a few hours. And fortunately, when I asked Carlo, like, how long does it take you to edit some of these things, and he's like, oh yeah, like 3-4 hours. And I'm like, oh, thank God. So I'm not the only, like, the other young person, the Gen Zer also takes as long. So I don't feel like completely anti-status with that. But because it does take so long, there are some ideas I have going into it, and I record all the clips, and it just doesn't amount to anything. So I was going to say, where when it comes to the the kind of travel sequence of things. I really wanted to do, this was 2 football seasons ago, when I was here for that UCLA game, and then I jumped on a flight that night because the UCLA football game for Hawaii was earlier in the day. Jumped on the flight, the red eye to Las Vegas, and then that Sunday had went to the USC LSU game at Allegiant Stadium. So it was like in the span of like less than 48 hours, I had watched like these 2 football games in 2 different states. And like the idea going into it was really cool. Like, oh yeah, this would be a fun little vlog reel to do. And then I had like started to edit it, and then it just like I couldn't I couldn't eventually finish it because it just takes a lot of time. So the ideas are always there, and but it's just once you get down to editing it, and then the next project comes along, and then the next thing. So maybe one day I can try to find out how to seamlessly be able to put these together, because there are a lot of stuff, and a lot more stuff that would be cool to share with all of you, but in that style, it takes a while to go through it.
Well, I think if Hawaii had put off the upset against UCLA and not just kind of like failed in the second half, because they literally like failed in the second half to do anything, that I think maybe you might have better energy.
No, because I had good energy that weekend, if you recall, because I put a lot of money. I bet a lot of money when I went to Las Vegas that weekend. It was my birthday weekend, and I came out in the net positives, and I was just rolling things over. Like my girlfriend and I had put USC money line. They were the underdogs in that game. That hit. So I was like on cloud 9. It was a great weekend because at that time is when we were still on radio. So we were the USC affiliate. I was cheering heavily for USC, all of that stuff. So yes, even though Hawaii didn't do good, the more of it was just like the premise of being in one state, especially in Hawaii, in one football game, going to the Red Eye, going to Las Vegas, going to another football game, and all of that stuff culminating into one video. But hopefully I'll get better at that again for you guys.
Well, you said it was your birthday weekend. So cool, like it's your birthday weekend. You shouldn't be even editing anything. And there's some things that happen on your birthday weekend that probably should not be public. So I think that's also part of it too.
I've gotten better at that. Back in the day, my Instagram story was where people could see what was happening, and I've gotten better about not opening my phone or Instagram story of anything that gets posted. So I'm glad. And those of you guys who are very much entertained back in the day via my Instagram story, you're welcome. But hopefully that'll, knock on wood, not be happening again. Speaking of Las Vegas, I don't know if are you a wrestling fan? I forget. Like a WWE fan?
I won't like watch anything live, but I'll see if like there's like a trending thing on social media, because I mean I wasn't really big on it growing up. I mean, I think my dad was also a sports fan, but he was always like, oh yeah, it's scripted, it's like, okay, well, whatever then. But yeah, I mean Tyrese Halliburton of the NN Pacers is a big wrestling fan.
That's what he was doing over the weekend.
I kind of follow. I mean, I see the clips. I mean, I just need to know like the tea. Like I'm not watching live, but I just want to know the tea of like the storylines. That's probably more of what I'm into.
Oh, yeah. Well, I bring it up only because this weekend was one of their marquee events, WrestleMania. The special teams coordinator there at WrestleMania, so shout out to Thomas Sheffield and his family. They were posting about it on their social media, so that was really cool. I know Coach Chef is a massive wrestling fan, and then hence why he's a huge fan of The Rock and all of that stuff that had happened with Zoa and everything. So that was really cool. The event itself though was I mean, I didn't watch all of it from like the beginning to end. I did watch yesterday's main event live between CM Punk and Roman Reigns. For all of the other wrestling fans out there, if you're listening, can you let me know if like there are any? I did find it odd that it feels like there's no superstars in wrestling, like that for WrestleMania you still need to get your older guys like CM Punk and Roman Reigns. I'm like, where are all the... And the best part of the weekend, and I'm glad I wasn't the only one, because people were one of the best moments of WrestleMania, where there's usually always surprises and everything like that. The biggest surprise, which I very much enjoyed, was Paige. She's a female wrestler that came back in replacement of an injured Nikki Bella for the tag team match, and then Paige and Brie won and all of this stuff. So that was really cool as someone who is a huge fan of the Diva era, what was once the Diva era in WWE to now just the women's era. That was awesome. But then it got me thinking, like, that was the biggest moment or surprise moment from WrestleMania, which usually there's always crazy things that happen. So I don't know if it was just me. They always put on a good production, though. That's no surprise there. The theatrics and the pyrotechnics and all of the lighting and everything was really cool. But yeah, if you're a wrestling fan, just let me know if it's kind of felt a little lackluster in terms of surprises and other, because I'm kind of like Mike during just in general, but I'll tune in here and there for some of the live events or see some of the clips on social media, the bigger events like WrestleMania. But yeah, it just felt like it didn't seem as like over the top as other WrestleManias have been in terms of surprises and the main events. Kudos to those guys though, because I was getting tired just watching them wrestle for that long. And then I'm pretty sure CM Punk's older than me, so the amount they can do in that ring is definitely to be admired. But I was just surprised, and I'm just curious. I'm going to throw it out there again. If you guys are listening live or going to listen on demand, let me know if it's just me that feels like it didn't seem what I'm used to. But again, the storylines that are happening right now, and so maybe there's definitely way more expert people in the world of WWE right now than myself. But altogether, yeah, it was kind of interesting. But
yeah. I like Paige. There's this movie that came out, I think, Fighting with My Family.
Yeah.
I like her story. And then Nikki Bella, I kind of know her from watching The Traitors, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, I mean, like you said, like there's not a lot of young and up and coming upcomers, you know, and I think that's also because of like our social media era. Because, like, I had a friend that was trying to like make his way into pro wrestling back on the continent, like in like North Carolina area, and there's like minor leagues, you know, or just like very like small stuff, and it seems like a very tough process to get to the top, and then. It does seem like a grind, but I think with like social media and stuff, like it's easier to get yourself out there. And yeah, I mean, I feel like we're getting. I think if pro wrestling doesn't like see itself, like it might age out because we're bringing a lot of like legacy stars back, right? And a lot of the fans are like older and like they're getting their kids into it. But like if you're like a new kid, like that's not really something that you'll gravitate to. So yeah, that's a kind of an interesting thing where like, hey, we need to like influence the next generation to get involved in wrestling, because right, it is kind of older fan base.
Well, to the WWE's credit, like they actually they brought in the Paul brother, Logan Paul, I think, I don't know, one of them, and then they had on WrestleMania they had I Show You Speed or whatever his name is.
So Speed is awesome.
Yeah, so like I don't really watch him, but I do recognize that he is like one of, if not the most popular streamers right now. So he was wrestling. And I think it was actually Logan Paul on the table when I Show You Speed like was up on the turnbuckle and then like jumped onto the broadcaster table where one is, I don't know for sure if it was a Paul. I just saw the highlight and like that was it's like taller than our ceiling that we're talking about, like jumping frog style onto the broadcast table. So I think to the WWE's credit, they are trying to intertwine some of the current influencers in social media to try to probably attract a different audience. Internal growth. I know there's some like on the women's side, like there's Bailey that I know was really popular at one point, but they did bring back AJ Lee, and then she said she's going again, and I'm like, what is going on? But it was still pretty fun to watch and take in. Anyways, that's enough of that. Boring you guys for those of you who don't follow too much wrestling. We're gonna take a quick break. When we come back, we'll get into some NFL draft conversation and kind of recap the order, some of the transactions that happened this weekend, and actually as early as this morning, some things going on. So we'll be back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Fun Factory can't make taking tests
Back to more Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani and Michael Lasquero on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network. Streaming live at hawaiisportsradio.com and on demand wherever you get most podcasts.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Ku'ulei Agbayani and Michael Lasquero on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, streaming on hawaiisportsradio.com, streaming on our YouTube channel as well. And you can always listen or watch back on demand wherever you get your podcasts or via our YouTube channel as well. All right. It is NFL Draft Week. Oh, let's go. That much closer. We get at least a little bit of a taste of the NFL season, ever so slightly, until we have to wait again another few months. But that's okay, because at least we get a little bit of some trend. And so I want to get you guys that real quick, and something that happened mainly this morning. But one of the bigger things that happened over the weekend is that the Cincinnati Bengals, they traded for Giants defensive lineman, tackle to be specific, Dexter Lawrence, who was a first round selection in 2019. So now the Giants get not one, but two first round picks coming up. And I think I saw, what was it, the little teams own 25% or something of like the top picks in the NFL draft. So the New York Giants, but the Bengals, they pretty much need everything they can get except for a quarterback. Well, never say never, because Joe Burrow, it's just a hit or miss whether or not you're going to have him for the entire season, it feels like. But when everyone is healthy, the Bengals pretty much have a quarterback and receivers, which is significantly important in this current landscape, as you have to have a good quarterback essentially to even sniff getting close to a Super Bowl. But nonetheless, they at least shore up another position that they need. So that's going to be an interesting one to follow. But also that happened this morning. Brandon Aubrey for the Dallas Cowboys becomes the highest paid kicker in the NFL, gets a 4-year, $28 million record-setting extension with $20 million guaranteed. Let's go, Kansei. This is your week to get the bag. But that's the good part about being a kicker. Like, I think if I were in that situation, this is where you would want to be the best kicker in the league, and you get paid a substantial amount of money. And hopefully everyone, your line is good enough that you essentially never get hit down, or never get hit to the point of no return, so to speak. But those are a couple of the major things. I didn't actually check this morning if anything else significant came through once we jumped on air. The Brandon Aubrey thing was the last thing. So I'm not sure if you saw anything, because I know notifications that I was getting via some of the that I follow, but it seems like that's kind of the main thing that happened recently as I do the little quick scroll here.
Yeah, there's not going to be
some
a
minor
whole lot.
stuff. It says Odell Beckham Jr. worked out with his old team.
Which one?
The Giants, his OG team.
Oh, okay.
That's about it. In terms of the, like I said, significant stuff, there's a little bit of nuggets here and there, but for the most part, that are the two main things that have happened quite recently when it comes to, as we get geared or set up here for the NFL draft coming up. Again, 2:00 p.m. Hawaii time via the NFL draft.
Teams have like a bunch of picks in the first round, or top in the first round, so that's gonna be good to see. Yeah, there's not gonna be a whole lot of action trade wise with the NFL. I think the NFL is gonna, for one, there's gonna be more action heading in and during the NFL. They kind of know they dominate the sports world, so they're gonna let the NBA have their opening weekend before they kind of chime in there and take over. I mean, I know that's kind of the big sticking point between the NBA and the NFL, right? I mean, I think the Browns kind of upset that this past season or the season ago, where the NFL is having games on Christmas Day. So, but yeah, cool. Your team made the playoffs last year. Where do you think the not Indiana Browns yet, not the Gary Browns yet, but where do you think the Browns? The Bears. Oh my gosh, where do you think the Bears go?
I'm like, why do you even want to like manifest any of that? It seems like things have stalled actually when it comes to.
That's good. That means there's no legislation in pass, so that means they're gonna have to be in Chicago this year, which means you might need to want to go and check them out, because I know that our Rainbow Warriors are playing at NIU, and you can go 2 for 1. And another social media savant real idea, Ku. But where do the Bears go in the draft, you think? Or what do you think their biggest need is?
Well, before I get to my team, I don't want to skip out on anybody's team and make sure we get the beautiful people on what the draft order looks like right now, especially with the New York Giants now back with not 1, but 2 picks in the top 10 via that Bengals trade. So let's pull it up here. Oops. Yeah. There we go. Pull it up here for you guys real quick. So with the number 1 overall pick, of course, everyone should know this by now. To the Arizona Cardinals. Number 4 goes to the Tennessee Titans. Number 5 to the New York Football Giants. Number 6, the Cleveland Browns. Number 7, the Washington Commanders. Number 8, New Orleans Saints. And number 9, Kansas City Chiefs. And as we mentioned, the New York Giants, also another pick in the top 10 via the Bengals. Continuing on, the 11th overall pick going to the Miami Dolphins. Dallas Cowboys at 12. Michael Lasquero's team, the LA Rams at 13 via the Falcons. 14, you got the Baltimore Ravens. 15 is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 16, once again, New York Jets on the clock via the Colts. 17 is the Detroit Lions. 18, the Minnesota Vikings. 19, the Carolina Panthers. At 20, the Dallas Cowboys right there via the Packers. 21, you got the Pittsburgh Steelers. 22, the LA Chargers. 23, Philadelphia Eagles. 24, the Cleveland Browns via the Jags. 25, you got the almighty Chicago Bears. 26, Buffalo Bills. 27, San Francisco 49ers. 28, the Houston Texans. 29, the Kansas City Chiefs via the Rams. 30, Miami Dolphins via Broncos. 31, the New England Patriots. And of course, 32, the Super Bowl champs, the Seattle Seahawks. So that rounds up your first round of this Thursday's NFL draft, barring anything else crazy that's going to happen as well. I know Paul is very adamant about who his team is going to be picking up high there. They do need a quarterback, but I believe he has mentioned that he's better off with them waiting until next season, right? That's the thing. With the Bears, I'm kind of open to whatever they're going to do. One, they don't pick that high. And that's another thing with the Giants, the Bengals trade via the Giants. It's at that spot, it's could they really get a guaranteed, because that's the thing with some of these first round trades, right? Can you get a guaranteed game changer via the draft? And when you're picking up there, your chances become a little less likely than if you trade for someone like a Dexter Lawrence, who has proven ability, and of course is a former first round pick back in 2019, but who already has proven ability to be able to compete and do very, very well in this league. You're going to go ahead and make that trade because, once again, the Bengals need all the help that they can get, except for a couple of position groups. So, but here's where the Giants can probably turn things around. And it'll be interesting, as we mentioned, with the Giants and Jets having a lot of those top picks in this year's draft, because I know that the Jets and Giants just love to hate on each other. So that's why it's going to be fun to see how this draft goes, and seeing that some of these teams, the New York teams, have those top picks. But that's why with my team, I'm kind of open to almost whatever they do at this point, because clearly whatever they're doing is working. So I will I don't want to I say I'm going to shut my mouth now, and then if they do something totally ridiculous, then we're going to have a different conversation, as we always do on Friday. But for the most part, I'm just going to kind of see what happens, because as I was mentioning with the Bengals, right, they have their quarterback, they have receivers, similar to the Chicago Bears. They got their guy and their quarterback now, Caleb Williams, just a completely new and better player under Ben Johnson, as we anticipated. So I'm just kind of going to enjoy it for now. I'm not as stressed about the first round pick in a while. Well, I know there were a few years recently where they didn't have a first round pick either, but for the most part, I'm not as stressed going into this draft on what the Bears will do, because from what they were doing last year, it seems to be working, and the decisions that are being made and the culture that Ben Johnson has built so far there in Chicago. I think that's why I was so adamant last year. I'm my whole thing of last year was just, they need to get a good coach. They need to get someone in here that can run this offense, make sure Caleb Williams doesn't become a wash and a waste in the NFL. That's what they did. Last year felt like it was a bonus, because I didn't expect them to do that well. But this is a year where I'm like, all right, now the expectation is high. But at the same time, in Ben Johnson and Ryan Poles, I trust right now until they give me a reason not to.
Yeah, and it's gonna, I mean, come down to, I guess, the way Caleb Williams kind of matures, right? And we kind of saw Patrick Mahomes have to kind of deal through that too, where he's like superhuman. And I mean, Caleb Williams is superhuman. There's like two amazing throws in the playoffs that he made that, like, I don't know who else in the NFL can make it outside of Patrick Mahomes. But even then, Patrick Mahomes is kind of older now and dinged up. But again, but then the turnovers too. But I do want to talk about Fernando Mendoza because pretty sure he's going to be the number 1 pick. Like, that's kind of locked in stone. I think the Raiders, picked up like his like mock, or not mock, but like his template in Kirk Cousins. So, but I think for Fernando Mendoza, he's number 1 pick, right? Or projected number 1 pick. He's gonna be at home, right? So I think that's the first. I think that number 1 pick has always been at the draft, well, outside of like the COVID year, but I kind of like it, right? I mean, this is like your biggest moment. Like, why not spend it at home, right? Not, I mean, because where's the draft this year? Some weird city. I mean, I don't say weird city, but even for me as a fan, I mean, I guess because we are like in the middle of an ocean, it's a bit harder to get to an NFL draft. But in person, like, that's not something that I feel like I need to experience. Maybe I would maybe do it like go to LA and go like to like a draft watch party with some other fans, but just to go to that stuff, I mean, it's gonna be crazy, it's gonna be packed, and you're gonna probably like hate yourself. I mean, I know Paul has done it, but he's gone with friends, right? But at home, I think it's also because of his grandparents or his family. Like, some of them can't be there, so I kind of like that. I know 2 years ago when we did the draft show, there was the Saints picked up a offensive tackle or offensive lineman, Taliesin Fuanga, and he actually had his draft party in Waipahu at some banquet hall. So I thought that was kind of cool in the first round. He had some local ties, and that looked kind of cool seeing everybody there. So yeah, I think that might be the new strat and the new stuff. It's just because when you go to the NFL draft, you gotta dress up, you gotta go through all these press interviews, and you gotta just blah 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 blah. But hire a photographer, and the NFL has so much money that they can stream you live on air. So like, and if you need to use the bathroom's just right there. So, and you can get food as well. So yeah, I kind of like that for Fernando Mendoza, kind of setting a precedent with the number 1 pick not being at the NFL draft.
I do think it's kind of odd though, and I understand where you're coming from, but like, he's being drafted in the most important position on the team, who is essentially supposed to be the face of the franchise. So for me, in that aspect, I'm like, I feel like he should be there in the sense. I understand why he's not, and I get where you're coming from, but I'm like, going through all of the media stuff is kind of a good thing, because you are going to be, if he is the number 1 draft pick, the chances are, I mean, I know that he might not start on day 1, right? Because that's something else we didn't bring up, like Kirk Cousins lands at somewhere else again with the Las Vegas Raiders. I like when rookies don't start right away, so that'll be a good thing if he is able to just wait a little bit and by sort of speak, but at the same time going through the media circus that is the NFL and the NFL draft. I mean, it's not like he's a stranger to it, because he did play in the college football playoff, which is essentially the same thing now, like Heisman, the NFL winner. Yeah, all of that stuff, but kind of going through that process now on the NFL side, because mainly it's because he plays the most important position and plays that quarterback role where you are the face, where you have to get out there. So I understand both sides in the sense that wanting to stay home, and I'm someone, of course, that's close with my family. So if it was the biggest moment of my life up to that point, and like my grandma couldn't come or something, like I would want to be there and hang out with her. But at the same time, like, part of me is like, oh, but then you are, because we talk about, I mean, we say it all the time now when it, like the NFL landscape, like now you are essentially a professional athlete, and I'm like, this is part of your profession, is to kind of be out there, right? Like, if you are going to be the number 1
he was already a professional athlete.
I know, but that's what I mean. Like, but now you are a true professional that's going to sign that contract, that massive contract, and that is, to me, that's almost, I know you're technically not paid yet while you're at the NFL draft, because you have not signed your contract with your team yet, but it's almost trending in that direction. But at the same time, like, I get it, because even though you might not be the number 1 pick, and then this completely changes the conversation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing too with the NFL draft is they've kind of made it to be a show more than I think it needs to be, right? Where you get people, you get draft picks that are like tricking out their suits and like they haven't paid you yet. Like you don't have to be doing all of this fancy stuff. But also with Fernando Mendoza, I mean, like he's just gonna turn around and catch a flight out of Miami or Florida, wherever he's from, and go to the Raiders, and they're gonna have their introductory press conference anyways, right? So it's not like with the NFL, there's no shortage of media. Like you're gonna have media. So I just think it's to me, I like it also because it's authentic to who Fernando Mendoza is.
Yeah. And that's why I can understand it. Like, this is just me speaking from as a standpoint. And like, maybe you should be out there because you're the quarterback, yada, yada, yada. And then things could go completely different. And then he could not be drafted first. And this whole conversation can get thrown out the window. Again, considering that technically the Las Vegas Raiders now have a quarterback with starting experience, a lot of veteran quarterback. So if they were someone that was like the Jets and wanted to parlay and kind of hold out for next year's quarterback heavy draft class, but you do have Fernando Mendoza at your fingertips here. So it's a little different situation than the New York Jets are in, where he's pretty much the only quarterback that you want to take in the first round at this point. Fernando Mendoza is, so you might as well get that guy. Clearly a guy that won't get into trouble, right? Las Vegas can have its way to get at you, but Fernando Mendoza, by all accounts so far, just a completely straight arrow. He's someone that you want to represent your franchise, someone that has kind of that quirkiness, so to speak, like the co-owner Tom Brady does. So there's maybe some similarities there in his potential to be a top-level quarterback in the NFL. If his processing can come down, I have no doubt whatsoever that this guy can learn the playbook and learn how to acclimate at plus 10,000. So take that how you must in terms of where everyone is foreseeing and foreshadowing who the number one draft pick will be. But Avro Reese, number 2 on the PFF big board, linebacker out of Ohio State. The Raiders, just like I was talking about with the Bengals, could pretty much use everything at this point. And then David Bailey is the edge rusher out of Texas Tech. And as we have seen in the NFL, especially the recent years in the NFL, that edge rusher position has like just skyrocketed in terms of value. And the reason why it's gone up in value is because they have shown when you have a good edge rusher on how much they can add to your defense. I mean, shoot, Michael Lasquero knows that all too well with the LA Rams for a while as well. So that is kind of the early projection in terms of the NFL draft. But yeah, I don't think there is any doubt. And then you take a look at the odds here that Fernando Mendoza will be a Las Vegas Raider. But once again, I'm hoping to get my friend on that covers the Raiders, that works for the Las Vegas Review Journal, to get his take, because he also was in Indianapolis to see Fernando Mendoza throw at that pro day to his former teammates at this point, former Indiana teammates. So it'll be exciting. Hopefully we can effort in before Thursday just to kind of get the overall take and vibes that are happening for Las Vegas. And if there is any inclination that it could be anybody else, or if the Raiders are 100% set on Fernando Mendoza.
Yeah, it's going to be but maybe, well, you can ask them for the on-the-record answer, and then you can ask them off the record, because if there is a slight chance, then a little sprinkle on somebody else, not named Fernando Mendoza, on the however you these betting circles legally, it might be an option. Which is another reason why, to continue the conversation from last Friday, that's money that's not going to the state of Hawaii. So what are we doing? Come on, Glenn Wakai. Come on. But make betting legal.
We already been telling the people that it's not going to we got to get through the working group first. It's not going to happen until we get through that. So the next hope is next legislative session that we will see a bill that is kind of recaps everything that they've been discussing in this working group, and be able to put forth a bill with all the safeguards, yada, 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 and so forth. So not happening this year, but maybe in the near future. Fingers crossed that will happen. But what are your quick thoughts before we go to a break of your team coming up here this week for the draft?
Well, the Rams just have one first-round draft pick. They had 2 first-round draft picks entering the season, but they traded their later pick to the Chiefs to secure one of the cornerbacks. I can't remember if it was for Trent McDuffie or Jalen Watson, but The Rams are probably going to go with a receiver. I mean, I think if Sean McVay always has his way, he's going to draft a receiver first as the first pick. He did that last year with tight end Terrence Ferguson out of Oregon, one of Dylan Gabriel's top targets for him in his final year. Speaking of Dylan Gabriel, shame on you, Glenn Mackay, for trying to throw shade at Dylan Gabriel I mean,
that was
that was uncalled for.
Dylan Gabriel caught strays.
You could have used somebody else outside of, you could have.
I know.
You could have used somebody else, Glenn. But yeah, I mean, also, Davante Adams is under contract or just through this year, and Puka Nacua is in rehab on streams. I don't know what he's doing. So the Rams definitely need a receiver. So I know some fans wanted Makai Lemon, I think that's his name, out of USC, but his press conferences have been kind of sus. So I don't know who they're going to take, but I know it's probably going to be a receiver. And if hopefully there's a lot of teams in the top of the draft that draft edge rushers, because that's a premium position, that the Rams going to have their choice on who is the receiver, because they were looking to trade up in previous drafts for a pass catcher. I think Brock Bowers was one that they tried to trade up for in the draft, and I think last year they tried trading up for Tetairoa McMillan. So hopefully there's a receiver up there, because I don't know what's going on with Puka Nacua. I hate to say it. I mean, I don't think he's gone full Antonio Brown. I think it's just a Polynesian guy, that has Mormon background, and that he's in LA and he has all this attention, and he just doesn't know how to handle it, because that's not like Polynesian style or Mormon style. And that's what I feel more like it is, because it's not like a lot of his peers have his back. So, as long as Sean McVay and Les Snead have his back, that's kind of how it goes. But yeah, the Rams will probably draft a receiver, and looking forward to whoever they select in the first round, because last season they used their first ever first round draft pick since Jared Goff for a defensive player. I assume that they would use their next first round draft pick for a offensive player. So and that would be awesome, because Sean McVay is an offensive guru, and if he selects a receiver, if there's an offensive player in the first round that he's targeting, then I feel really good about that as the offensive guru that is Sean McVay.
All right, taking a look real quick. I'm going to look at the PFF big board right now. Unfortunately, there are no Hawaii players listed on the PFF big board, which kind of gives you an inclination on potentially players that are going to be drafted. Again, a lot can happen after the draft and that whole thing. So you kind of pay attention. That Sunday is kind of like, it gets a little wild, but with all of the undrafted people that get signed to teams within the same day. I brought this up before, and just kind of looking at it again, just to see just to double check via, again, Pro Football Focus, because someone that a lot of people are paying attention to, of course, is Kansei Matsuzawa, and where he could end up, a former kicker here for the University of Hawaii. He is in that international program for the NFL. When you do look at the big board, Kansei is not one of the kickers that are listed on here. Let's see, the top ranked kicker on the PFF big board is Trey Smack from Florida. Then you have Will Farron at 443 out of BYU, Drew Stevens at 444, and then Dominic Zvada out of Michigan are the top kickers right now on the, again, PFF big board. So we'll stay tuned with that and kind of keep track of where Conte could end up. And I don't know, Michael, you follow Hawaii football a lot. Any inclination on any of our other guys that could potentially look at the opportunities? Again, at least via the big board, no Hawaii players, University of Hawaii players are listed on here, which kind of, again, the big board gives you a little bit of an inclination on what players could get drafted this upcoming weekend. But so no University of Hawaii players are on here for now. But I don't know if you've been hearing or seeing anything on the socials in terms of other than Kansei, maybe some other players, former UH players that we could potentially pay attention to, and maybe not just getting drafted, but potentially signing like undrafted free agent contracts.
Yeah. Do we have to go to another break before the next hour, or do I have time? Okay. So this one's kind of tough, right? I think I mentioned it last Friday, about how the University of Hawaii has not had a draft pick since Cole McDonald in 2020, and the last time we had a stadium with fans. And I think it's going to be tough, right? I mean, like 2 years ago or last year, I believe, I was very like high on Cam Stone. Like I think Cam Stone should have been drafted, and I don't even think Cam Stone's playing pro right now. And I think the way things are set up for University of Hawaii players, like unless our legislature wants to like give us some NIL money and help set this up, because they kind of feel that it's keeping the stadium alive. I think the best path for a lot of our University of Hawaii players is to either go through like the CFL or the XFL or whatever, the USFL, whatever it is called now. I mean, I know Stephen McBride's doing pretty solid for himself in that league, so I think that might be the best path, because I thought Cam Stone should have been drafted at least a day 3 pick. I think Elijah Robinson was also a guy that had potential. Because if not, then they're gonna have to probably like transfer to one of the Power 4 schools, and that's not something that we want to see as University of Hawaii fans. But that's just the sign of the times, right? Because outside of Cole McDonald, we did also have Darius Musa drafted at UCLA, a former University of Hawaii linebacker, but he left because of he who shall not be named. But that's probably like that might be the path, right? I mean, we saw Jackson Harris this past year leave University of Hawaii to go to LSU and hopefully get his draft stock, and that's the fear I have with some of our current players, right? I mean, I'm just gonna be honest with like guys like Michael Alejado. Like if he does want like an NFL draft slot, like he's got to probably show it against Power 4 competition consistently to even be considered. So going back to our current players, I mean, it's kind of tough. Like, I mean, Conte has a lot of exposure, but if I had to go with one player on both sides of the ball that might potentially have the best shot, I would probably say Zen Sotelo on the offensive line and Verdell Edwards on the cornerback side, the defensive backs room, because Verdell Edwards did play safety, I believe, his first year with us. I think he was recruited to be a safety before moving outside, so he has some utility, he has some play. I know one of the former players that was on the Rams that won the Super Bowl, in Jalen Ramsey, he played safety at Florida State before I moved to cornerback, and so that has utility. And Verdell Edwards does have some size to him, and Verdell Edwards is like, I think he's like 6'2" and has some big, he has a good frame on him for the NFL.
Yeah.
And before he didn't play last or the 2024 season, but he was like getting like looks for or on the watch list for some, like I think the East-West Shrine Bowl or something like that. Mm-hmm. So he's definitely a guy on that side. Now for the offensive side, one thing I will say is that even with Colt Brennan back in the days, like there is criticism about the offensive system that the University of Hawaii uses in the run and shoot, because it might not necessarily translate to the NFL. And I agree with that completely. And I mean, I've kind of been a proponent of like, yes, the run and shoot is nice. It's good to get the fans involved, and like that's something that fans know. But we need to expand and diversify the playbook, which the coaching staff has done, right? I go back to the Nevada game in 2024, where when you and Paul was on Hilo with Kelsey and Mai, and that like. I may have deleted the clip on my Twitter, on my X, but I said, like, I would extend Timmy Chang now because they kind of mixed up the offense and they changed the offense like in a week. And that's not something that's easy to do. Like, that's something that I think would be like that you would need a full offseason to do. That's where we had this kind of debate, like, oh, do we change out Braden Shaker in favor of Michael Alejado, or even giving John Calvin Sangapula a chance? But they did it in a week. They, had like tight ends and like two backs in the backfield, and they were like kind of like a run heavy, because that's the game where Braden Shaker ran for 4 touchdowns, right? That's not the run and shoot that, like fans or like, guys like we know, like Aaron Kia, Rocky Sabana, that's not the run and shoot they know, right? But the team, I think that's going to help the team in the future get more draft picks, because we are mixing up the tight ends now, mm-hmm. right? I talked to Dean Brisky. I met him somewhere outside thing, but like they are like trying to get in those different personnel groupings, and I think that's if we're trying to like recruit, like I mean, of course there's NIL. Of course there's also hey, you get to play in Hawaii in terms of recruiting, but like hey, let's put in some of these pro schemes. Let's put in this pro offenses, offensive things that will help you translate to the NFL and where it's not and stuff. So I kind of like that, and that's kind of my TED talk right there on the University of Hawaii. But I think they're on a good path, right? But yeah, getting a draft pick, I mean, again, like we don't have a stadium for what's going to be 10 years now with not having a stadium. So if you want to attract players that have pro potential, you need to have a stadium that's worthy for the pros. I mean, I'm just gonna be honest and frankly like that. So
I don't know. I'm gonna push back on you for that though, like because you've seen like someone like FCS schools like North Dakota State put players into the NFL like that get drafted, right? Like so it's more of you just have to win like that. It's like 2020, 2021. Clearly it was wonky here. Hawaii had the strictest restrictions when it came to the pandemic, and then after the coaching turnover, we were bad. Like we were just a bad football team. The record shows what they were for those first few seasons under head coach Timmy Chang, and that's not his fault necessarily. It was because there was a lot of that exodus, like you mentioned, Darius Muasau, who would have stayed in Hawaii had it not been for what happened under the former coach before Timmy. But so it's like you just have to be a good football team, because if you suck, like NFL teams aren't going to look at teams that don't win football games, because it's already clear right there that like, oh, well, you probably aren't that good because you can't win football games. So I think they're on the right track, because if they continue to keep the momentum like they did last year into the future, which it feels like they will, especially if they get that extra help from the state in terms of NIL stuff. Like Coach CB said it on Insights, right? The goal is to try to get these guys into the NFL, and one way to get there is to actually play. So some transfers will come here just to make sure they get that playing time, as we saw with a lot of the receivers coming in as well after the Jackson Harris departure. So I do understand what you mean in terms of like, oh, you know, they just to get the exposure, but we're talking about like the real top players, but we see all kinds of players get drafted from different levels of football. That's what I mean. So it's like, and I definitely will stadium situation on not. I don't think a stadium matters in terms, like, especially in this day and age where coaches and like they can find you no matter what. Like if you put out NFL level quality talent out there at Ching, like they're going to want you on their football team, right? Like you just got to win games. And in order, I think now Hawaii football is finally on notice because they did so well. And like, I will agree with you in the sense where changing up the playbook where it's not traditional run and shoot. So it does fit a little bit better offensively. It does transition a little bit better from college to the NFL now that it's not pure run and shoot as it used to be. But you just got, the first things first is just to win football games so that scouts can even believe that you have that level of talent. Because if you don't win, like if they continue their winning ways and they're able to win at Stanford to open up this season, like they're already going to start looking at this squad and like, how do they win? Like it's Micah Alihado, some of these receivers. So you just got to win football games. And there was a stretch since 2019 where they were not winning football games. So if I'm like the NFL scouts, like you're not even going to pay attention to anyone on this team, at least unless you see something specifically special about somebody. But if you're not on a winning football team, period, like they're not even going to look your way. Because like I said, as we've seen at an FCS level, like people have gotten drafted. So you just got to win games.
For sure. I mean, but even at the FCS level, you have players that don't win games, but they have eyeballs on them because like there's word of mouth. I mean,
exactly.
There is just, I mean, I'm just trying to like highlight the disadvantage that Hawaii does have in terms of the national stage. I mean, we are on the ocean, we are on a different time zone, and as much as like the internet loves us because there's people that watches us at like a sickle hour, like the general public doesn't really get eyeballs on us as much, right? I mean, even like our high school like athletes, right? They need to go. Some will leave to go get exposure. I use Samuta Vale, for example, right? Like he left Kahuku to go to the mainland to go to Kane to get recruited by Hawaii, you know, and then like even like players like JJ Manda quit, you know, that's just kind of the logical disadvantage that there is in being Hawaii that we just got to work around, right? And I mean, we are on the right track. I mean, I'm not gonna not say that, right? So, but I mean, and also part of it is me also maybe just kind of like venting a little bit about Glenn Wakai and his fetish with the Asian market, because I mean, Kansei kicks the football. He's not in the trenches, you know, blocking for our quarterback. And, you know, you're not going to find that in Asia. I'm sorry, I hate to say it, but I do
just got to find those sumo wrestlers.
I do think, right. I kind of wish that our Hawaii players can have a pro day here at home where they're not having to go on the road, go to a different state, and trying to perform, right? Because we know how better our team is. I mean, we see it, right? Like if they go, I mean, definitely the colder states, right? But we know how better our team performs on the field here locally than when they go on the continent. So maybe with a stadium that we can have a pro day where like the scouts will actually fly out here and spend time, but also that can open the door for like the Oceania or like even the Asian markets, right? Sorry. But like even like players from there, like, hey, we're gonna have a pro day in Hawaii. Maybe you can't go to the combine, but maybe you might want to work out here locally. I mean, because we saw it with the XFL, right? When Dwayne The Rock Johnson and his partner, I forgot her name, Danny Garcia, I think her name is, where they had it at McKinley High School, right? So why can't we have that for our, like, what do we need to do to have that for our players? And that's what I'm just trying to do. Like, I just want to give our players here locally the best opportunities possible in our unique situation.
We got to win football games. That's what that's what we got to do. And again, we're on the right track, which is really exciting for Hawaii football fans, that it feels like there is this renewed sense of excitement now to come off of the season that they did last year. All of it coming with a upset win over Cal, who has all of the NIL money in the world, essentially, and who was the top quarterback in the state, and all of that stuff that goes in their favor, and Hawaii still able to pull that off. So at least they do have that momentum. They will hopefully start to get true scouting eyeballs on them moving forward. But as Coach CB said, and it's something that I've agreed with when it comes to players, whether or not they're choosing to take the top dollar, or you go somewhere where you can actually play, where you can be like a Jackson Harris, and maybe you'll parlay it into a little bit of money and a Peer 4 opportunity. But you can't do any of that unless you play football. So coming to the University of Hawaii to play, that's kind of the big thing. If you are good enough, you will get in there if you can help the Rainbow Warriors win games. And then you will be taught to be a good member of society. Like they were just out this weekend. I think they were at the Kalo Patch or something. I know I saw something on social media that they're doing all of this other more community service here in the off season. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back for hour number 2 on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
You're listening to Wake Up in the Den on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, streaming on hawaiisportsradio.com and the Hawaii Sports Radio app.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den, hour number 2. I'm Ulei Agbayani alongside Michael Lasquero on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, streaming on hawaiisportsradio.com via the app and streaming live on our YouTube channel. Thank you guys for tuning in this and every Monday via YouTube or every weekday morning from 8 to 10 or on demand wherever you get most podcasts. We had a packed hour. It's so funny because naturally, as I kind of thought, we're only going to talk a little bit about the NFL draft because we can save it for throughout the week and especially on Thursday morning when it is actual draft day. But no, we ended up spending a lot of that time, that first hour, and closing the first hour out with kind of taking a look and kind of talking about specifically University of Hawaii football. So if you missed any of that, you can always go back and listen or watch on demand. Feel free to chime in on the YouTube chat, or you can text us at 808-888-5481. That's 808-888-5481 if you do want to get in on the conversation. And once again, just a couple of reminders of things coming up this week. We've got today I will be out at the OIA surfing championships happening. It's already started at 8 a.m. this morning with the final heats taking place this afternoon. So we'll talk about that on tomorrow's show. Tomorrow we'll bring you OIA baseball presented by Ko'olau Federal Credit Union. Some playoff action between Aiea and Moanalua. Wednesday we'll have HBU baseball with HBU senior night already. Yeah, it's crazy that it's already here. So senior night for the Sharks as they get set to host Chaminade once again. It was kind of wonky, their series with Chaminade. They played like one game and then 2 games and then 1 game. So closing it out here for the season for the Sharks. And then on, Friday, we'll have OIA baseball championship actions, and then Saturday, OIA softball championships, and then Sunday, we will have HPU softball senior night between the HPU Sharks and the University of Hawaii Hilo Vulcans. So that is our packed week for you guys coming up with the diamond sports, and of course, this afternoon with some surfing going on. So, woo! And then we still got some more action next week with the, flag football finals as well. So, no, next week, excuse me. Next week, we'll bring you OIA flag football playoff action. And then the following week will be the championships. I'm getting way too ahead of myself at this point. So, got to slow it down a little bit. That's what our packed week that's going on for the next couple of weeks into May as we keep you guys updated with everything. Well, going on this weekend as well, starting off on Friday for the University of Hawaii Rainbow Warrior Volleyball team. They are in action for the Big West Conference tournament hosted by Irvine. So I believe they're leaving tomorrow after closing out the regular season against CSUN. Again, a fun game overall for the Rainbow Warriors, even though that's second match got a little sloppy, so to speak, and hence why they dropped a set to a CSUN team who the Rainbow Warriors are clearly way more talented than, but they definitely brought the party. We kind of mentioned it on Friday's show, mentioned it a little bit in hour number 1, but we always love our bows. But if there is anyone that could steal the show, it would be someone like Jordan Lucas, and it was Jordan Lucas who was equally entertaining on the other side. The viral social media star that continues to kind of grow his popularity, and it didn't stop with Hawaii. In case you guys missed any of it, he does actually have Hawaii ties, so even more so why it was a lot more welcoming because people did know Jordan. His mom is from Hawaii. His dad played a season at the University of Hawaii for basketball. So, and I believe his dad and his brother were in attendance for the match. But overall, yeah, it was really fun. And the fun was had after the game as well as there was, the after party at that was taking place on Saturday night, and it was quite a fun time. But Jordan Lucas, he was classy as to be expected, and it was fun. So between Jordan and Vladimir Kubr, they equally had kind of their own celebratory nights, with Vlad being the only senior on this team. Vlad getting the ovation that he deserved when he started in place of Tread Rosenthal, and then also were able to close out the game even through set to Tread Rosenthal for a kill. So it was all around. It was just a really, and that's what Michael, you and I talked about on Friday, that you're just going to enjoy the vibes, because from a volleyball aspect, it shouldn't be much of a competition, and it really wasn't. Only when the Rainbow Warriors did not want to play clean volleyball in that second match. But other than that, I think it was just an overall fun night in the stand this past weekend, and it did not disappoint. And the crowd, as always, did not disappoint either.
Yeah, I mean, the first night was a BTA because that match was over before 9. Like I had a prior function, and I was like texting Paul. I was like, Paul, I don't know if I'm gonna get there in time for post game. I'm passing where Melanie was born. You know, we'll see if I can make it, but I make it there. I make it there in time. You know, didn't break any laws, but yeah. And I mean, as much as like we say that second set in the night 2 was a little wonky, I mean, that's kind of lesser teams will do against University of Hawaii. Like if you let them hang around, like they're gonna keep up with you, right? And that's the University of Hawaii just couldn't, get back in there. But I will forgive it because, like you said, Vladimir Kubr did start at setter, and by the time he exited the game, I think he was or in the first set, I think it was a 10-3 lead. So they had enough of advantage then, and a big of a hole that CSUN was in, where when Tread came back, it wasn't that much of an issue. But then, of course, when you have a different setter to start the second time, yes, they shouldn't. They could have won that set. I'm not trying to excuse that. For a team that wants to win the national title, you don't want to give up a set to like a team that hasn't beaten, that their last win was against Jessup. I mean, I'm just gonna be honest, right? But yeah, I can kind of forgive it because the offense, the sets are different, but yeah, they did really well. I did like that set to Tread Rosenthal. I mean, Tread Rosenthal. I think it's not Hawaii media to do it, right? It's more like the national TV markets like ESPN or like TNT, or FS1. But there is a good there is might be I don't know, I don't want to be the one to start it, but you could have a Michael Jordan LeBron conversation about the best setter in University of Hawaii history. That train might need to be could get start rolling between Tread and Jakob Tele. I don't want to start it, but
Jakob at this point, 100%.
But I'll say, I do think.
Sorry, Tread, but
I do think Tread does have the physical attributes to be overall. Not if we're not talking about setter, we're just talking about overall, because brother is 6'10", probably still growing, and there was some power on that swing. I'm not gonna lie, Tread in the front row, that there was some power on that swing, and I bring that up. I said it in the first hour, but I think that might be a little that might be an option that maybe the team might want to tinker with, or because obviously I don't know if we're playing the post game, but I think Charlie was saying, yeah, there was kind of a plan already for Vlad a month ago, or that was something that was gonna happen. So I did like that swing. Because Tread is just awesome. He's just phenomenal. He's a solid all around volleyball player. He probably could play any position on the court, and that was the strongest hit of the night when Tread hit that ball.
Yeah, we've seen him do some crazy things, do some of those dunks, and we saw him do that backhanded thing that he did on the road. I forget who they were playing, but Tread does do some pretty phenomenal things with all of his physical attributes. But yeah, if we're just talking about setter, I definitely still got to go with Jakob at this point. But Jakob was the AVCA National Player of the Year, and they won the national championship, because I will kind of say that too. It's you have to when we talk about the NBA, like who's the best and yada, 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 like it all comes down, and you mentioned it too when I was talking about my top 5 is like the amount of championships you win, or even if in this situation, even you need to at least win a championship. But Tread, I want to make sure I tell people that Tread is I want to say it's semifinalist up until this point for the AVCA National Player of the Year. So Jakob, in all his glory and what he did, Tread definitely has the potential. But yeah, if we're just talking right now, and if it's just like setter position, like Jakob was just like a thing of beauty, so to speak, when the way that he ran that offense when they were here. Hence why they were the national champions, not once but twice. But overall though, that game, the set, I think too, and we'll play it in just a second. But I think he said that where the Vladimir didn't actually didn't know that he was going to start. Like that part was a surprise. I think Charlie had mentioned that he had something in the way, like Charlie knew for a month or so, like ahead of time, but it was kind of that surprise to Vladimir for senior night and enjoying it and taking every minute of it. But once again, they at least the share of the Big West Conference regular season championship, and then Saturday, obviously, they won it outright after that second win against CSUN, so that earned them the number 1 overall seed into this week's tournament. So they will play not Thursday, they get the first round bye, and we'll play on Friday at 2 p.m. Hawaii time. I got to make sure my whatever point of the year we're in, how many hours we deduct from when you see these, and then they will take on the winner of the 4 seed of UC Santa Barbara or the 5th seed in UC. Other side of the bracket, the number 2 seed, I should actually play it up for you guys. The number 2 seed is Long Beach State, and Long Beach State will face the winner of the 3 seed in UC Irvine and the 6 seed in CSUN. Again, semifinals, the first round bye is going to the number 1 seed Hawaii and the number 2 seed in Long Beach State, and then the finals will be on Saturday, and you can watch all of the games via ESPN Plus. So that's a good thing where people can tune in. Again, hosted at the Bren Event Center in Irvine, California. All right, going back to Saturday's festivities, do want to play for you guys really quick what's some of the post-game clips from there. We'll start off with head coach Charlie Wade and what he had to say following that match against CSUN, and he just kind of starts with his overall thoughts from Saturday's game.
Been the best league, and to win the league outright is impressive. We had a little hiccup in set 2, but it's just a reminder that and thank God volleyball resets at 25 points every time, because we were dominant in the sets that we did win, but when you make 12 errors and 6 serving errors, and really credit to Jalen Phillips, had 10 kills in that second set. They switched Libero to outside, and he came in and had 2 aces. That guy's a serving sub on the Brazilian national team. So a nice player, but really on us kind of, just getting a little sloppy, hitting some balls out and a bunch of service errors. But it's a good reminder that if you're going to make 10, 12 errors, it's game on against any team in the country. And when we're more productive and more efficient, then we control our destiny for sure. Senior night's always special. There's no question. It's done here better than anywhere on the planet. So it's always a little bittersweet to say goodbye to some guy, especially a guy that's as important as this, but just so appreciative of the fans sticking around and how we send our seniors off is special for sure. As far as possibly being able to host another that's out of our control. If you're a top 4 team, you get a seed. Nobody was guaranteed a host. So, all we control is finish in the top 4, and we'll get one of the seeded spots, and that's all in our control.
Was given pretty much every lay on your back to Vlad as spur of the moment thing, or did you thought about that one ahead of time?
Yeah, thinking about it kind of towards the end. He's a special kid. I'd never done that before either, but with one, he can do some special stuff for sure.
And that was University of Hawaii men's volleyball head coach Charlie Wade. Now here is the star of the night, senior Vladimir Kubr, and what he had to say following Saturday, festivities.
Not Charlie was going to do that. But it made everything better. That's more than I even asked for. And I feel like I played pretty good too. So that even makes it even better. Honestly, it's weird. I didn't feel any nerves because I knew if I played bad, my brother Trent would come in and support the team, you know. So I felt no nerves, felt nothing to lose, you know.
What does tonight mean to you overall?
Everything. It means everything. This might be the best thing that will ever happen to me in my whole life.
What was the adrenaline rush of being introduced the starter tonight, and then you guys jumping out to the lead you did in the first set?
I was more excited because we do a little chant in there, like the little serve nickname. So I was excited to hear that from my teammates, and I was just excited. Yeah.
And then setting tread in the fourth set.
Yeah.
How long was that in the works?
That was my first time ever setting him, actually. Yeah. And yeah.
What do you think it says about him as a teammate that he's willing to give up that start for you tonight?
I mean, it might seem cliche, but that's what I expect from him. He's a very selfless man, you know, and yeah, he's just my brother, so we support each other.
You said he didn't set you?
Not at all, no. I'm actually happy he didn't set me, to be honest. We have Louie and Adrian, yeah. He should be not setting me.
How did it feel for you to hear the standing kind of like this, have a standing on for you?
Everything. You know, very well, a lot of aloha from the fans, and it's just very electric. I wish there was words to describe it, but it's just blessed and happy, you know?
For sure, man.
You've been a part of a lot of senior nights, and you've had a lot of acting roles, right? But tonight was your night, right? You're just the starring lone star man. So how did it feel to just kind of have that solo moment?
It felt good, but also it's not just about me, it's about my team. It's about the program, it's about the fans, and just the support. I'm just a name at the end of the day. The Hawaii volleyball program is forever.
And that was University of Hawaii reserve setter Vladimir Kubr, and also the lone senior that was celebrated, on Saturday. Again, he had all the lei. He even had all of Charlie's lei that was being given. And we were talking about it on Friday that this will be kind of like his party, but in true teammate fashion there, said it's more about the team, even though as much as we want to continue to give him his flowers, that it is official. It felt like it was his night. Again, it felt like a mix between Jordan Lucas as being a star on the CSUN side, and then Vladimir Kubr. Once again, his parents were there. His dad, like, in great shape. He kind of looks like a stuntman. I didn't realize he had such a Fabio look. I don't know if you saw his parents there, but yeah, his Vladimir Kubr's dad is like a former stuntman, model, all of that stuff, athlete as well. But definitely, I mean, he still had the nice long blonde hair going on, and I'm like, okay, Dad. And Dad was at the after party too. So, it was a fun Saturday night, continuing the winning ways for senior night here for University of Hawaii teams.
Yeah. Are we talking about UH more in the next segment, Ku?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I just want to bring that up. They swept. But yeah, there's this talking about this after party, Ku, that you keep bringing up. But I don't know if you're like me, or those that are listening or watching, but if you're not invited to the after party, please do not tell me about the after party. That's just how I am. But I mean, yeah, I guess there was a good after party, but hopefully, well, let me say this. Hopefully there are more after parties, because we got the tournament coming up and a regional coming up, and hopefully if they win the regional at home, hopefully, then we'll have the national. I have to probably work on is national championship, because it's been a while since we've won a national championship. But I think the last times that we've won the national championship, it has been kind of close during COVID times. So, and again, I'm getting ahead of myself, and I know if we do win a national championship, how is the state gonna celebrate them? Are we gonna have a parade? What are we gonna do? Or is there gonna be an after party that I'm invited to? Either way.
I mean, they did the parade when they did win the national championship. They were on the trolley, they were in downtown, and they kind of did this whole thing. And I think they ended up in the middle of downtown, by Bank of Hawaii building area. And they kind of did this whole thing. I'm sure the team itself, probably had their whole celebratory stuff in their after party. But, and then, the mayor kind of does what he does, and maybe some type of proclamation, usually what goes on. But we'll see what happens. But it was interesting that Charlie had mentioned in that post game that it still isn't a guarantee if they're going to host or not.
Oh, it's never
Which
guaranteed with the
we were
NCAA.
kind of, and I heard UH is already like selling tickets to, and this is what universities and even pro teams do anyway, so it's not like it's a surprise, but I guess the university is already like at least calling like their season ticket holders to see if they want their tickets and kind of doing the pre-sale thing. But I did, because I was talking to somebody about it over the weekend about the hosting situation, and I basically said like they at least have to take care of business. Like they need to win the Big West Conference tournament in order to have that higher chance to host, because if you don't win, then that can like deal with like something, and depending on if they don't win, how they lose, particularly because they are still the number 2 ranked team in the country behind UCLA. And then like Pepperdine won the MPSF regular season, and so we'll see how MPSF goes as well. So it is. They need to do themselves a favor if we even want to maybe think about hosting and have that in the back pocket. They need to win this weekend in the Big West Conference tournament, because if they don't, then it will get even more dicey in terms of whether or not they'll be able to host that regional. But fingers crossed that they will take care of business. But I mean, even though some of the other teams like Irvine and Long Beach State, Hawaii has been able to do well and on the road against them as well, and some sort of having down years compared to the last couple of years, especially last year with the beach and everything. This is the year that Hawaii should win the Big West Conference tournament, as we've seen in the Big West Conference regular season that they were able to take care of business.
Yeah, and I think if they, I think they might have some chance for a redemption against the one team that they did lose in the regular season in that semifinal. So that would be good, because hey, if they do play that team, then like okay, let's get our get back. But yeah, Long Beach hasn't been as strong. Irvine hasn't been as strong as well. And then, the thing is, I think Irvine Irvine will play CSUN, I believe, in that first round, and they'll play Long Beach. So I will say that maybe if Irvine is in the final against UH, and that's a little dicey because they are playing at Irvine. We saw last year how playing here at home helped the team beat Long Beach, who I think on paper and like from the eye test was a better team than UH last year. But yeah. But yeah, they need to take care of business. But good on the University of Hawaii for selling the tickets, because if the NCAA does pay for teams to come to Hawaii for a regional, then you need to show why it's good, right? You need to get in that revenue. I don't know how it gets split between the school and the NCAA and whatnot, but you do need to start putting it out there. And the team deserves, they deserve to have that in the universe, or in potentially to manifest, because they have been looking awesome. I think we got the turnstile numbers, and I was about to say it was a season high, but no, the season high was against UCLA. So against UCLA, which I think was a swept against us. I think we got swept in that one. So we definitely can fill out the stand. And we mentioned, talk about growing the game of volleyball. That's one way to help grow the game of volleyball, because the NCAA doesn't really, for men's volleyball, they really have no social media presence. That's why you see a lot of accounts like JTM Volleyball, Set Point. Although I think out of system, I haven't really seen much of out of system in the podcast. I don't know what's going on there, but that's also why I bring up like the whole Tread versus Jakob. I don't agree with the conversation, but I feel like stuck conversations like that helps grow the game of men's volleyball, because it's outrageous, but then you have people on both sides, and in the social media era we live in, just having engagement, whether it be like positive or bad, like engagement is still good. So whatever we can do to help grow the game of men's volleyball. And who knows, maybe if likes what's happening here at the Stan Sheriff Center, maybe, just maybe, they might let Hawaii host the Final Four for men's volleyball in the future, right? Because the Final Four is being held, I believe, at UCLA. Yeah. So it's going to be
Poly Pavilion.
It sucks because UCLA, if UCLA is in the Final Four, the team that Hawaii got swept against at home will be on the road there. So that will be tough, right? If that happens, I might be getting ahead of myself. But if Hawaii is able to host a regional, like Hawaii needs to show that it deserves to host a regional. Do what we did for the AC Carter night, dim the lights, get the spotlights out there. again, they need to take care of business. So let's focus on taking care of
Let's
business.
focus
this
on
weekend first.
the Big West Conference tournament happening this weekend. And I want to now we'll transition to a little bit other University of Hawaii sports, as you had brought up softball briefly, but kind of going there where the ladies were on the road this weekend and did sweep at UC San Diego. Kind of a close one in the third game of that series. Just a 1-0 win, but a win is a win. Put up 10 runs in the game before that in game number 2, 10-5 over UC San Diego. And then a close win in game 1, 3-2 over the Tritons. Now they come home and it is already senior week now this week for the UH softball team. But shout out to head coach Panita Thanatharn and what she's been able to do this season, because now the Rainbow Wahine are in the top 4 of the Big West Conference right now, just behind essentially, basically tied, but with Long Beach State, 15-6 in conference right now. And then along with Long Beach State at the top, you have Cal State Fullerton at 19-2, and then UC Santa Barbara at 16-5. So in the top 4, right behind Hawaii, you have UC Davis at 13-8. But just the type of season so far that they've been able to put together, and the last couple of series that they have left here are against some of the lower ranked opponents in the Big West Conference. You've got Cal Poly coming up this weekend, and Cal Poly. And then to close out the season, unfortunately, they do close out the regular season on the road, but they close out against UC Riverside, who is the bottom of the Big West Conference. So if the Rainbow Wahine can keep playing how they've been against some of the top teams in the conference, again, you don't want to get ahead of yourself because anything can happen. It's baseball and softball are wonky sports, like sports in general, but man, I'm liking what I'm seeing from this University of Hawaii softball squad so far, and kudos to Coach Panita Thanatharn and the season she's been able to put together up until this point. Again, being in the top 4 in the Big West, and should be able to, or they better take care of business in the bottom ranked teams in the Big West Conference this weekend. I think I'll get too ahead of myself, and that's just me being positive, Paul, and very optimistic in thinking that they are going to go 6-0 to close out the season. Never say never, but sometimes crazy things happen, but for the most part, the outlook, at least in this point on paper, is looking really good for the Rainbow Wahine to close out the regular season and be able to safely slide into a spot in the postseason tournament.
For sure, and I mean, you talk about the postseason and in position to make some noise. I mean, in this previous series where they swept their opponent, pitchers Taryn Iramata and Hannah Pitts picked up their 10th wins of the year. So you have 2 pitchers with 10 wins. That's especially in the tournament when I think it's double elimination, or you just you get some play there. So that's hot because you're not just riding one arm there at the plate. I mean, you also have senior Millie Fitch, who maybe not has the wins or the innings pitch or the pitching numbers compared to Taryn and Hannah, but she makes up for it with her bat. I think she had a grand slam multiple times and whatnot. So this is a really hot team. If I'm looking at the schedule correctly, Ku, it says that it's the last game at home is Saturday at 11 a.m. And coming into this week, because we do have a packed broadcast schedule with OA championships this weekend, but if it is 11 a.m., I think that works out for us, Ku. So maybe you can double check on that and see if they are having the senior ceremony after that, because that will work out for us awesomely, because we do have OI softball championships that night, I believe. So I was kind of like, okay, maybe might need to send one of our interns there while we're at, just to get some coverage. But I think we might be able to have the full force out there for senior day if it is at 11 a.m. and they are honoring them after Saturday's game, because Friday is a doubleheader. So I hope it's 11 a.m. I mean, in my opinion, I think it's weird to have a senior game at 11 a.m. But for our purposes here at HSRN, hopefully it's still at 11 a.m. because they got 7 seniors to recognize, and I think that would be awesome. Because I don't think there's anything going on on campus later that day, so it's just kind of strange. And I feel like maybe under the lights would be a good time to celebrate seniors. But for HSRN purposes, hopefully, cross our fingers, it's the 11 a.m. so we can give the proper coverage for that. And who knows, maybe our own Paul Breck might mosey his way out there.
Oh, you're putting Paul to work already. I in my mind, I'm like, Paul's not getting back out here till May. That's like all. And what point in May? I don't know. I know for sure Paul is coming out to play at least for the OIA Girls Flag Football Championships that are on May 6th. But in my mind, I'm like, I don't imagine Paul coming out until May time.
Well,
so.
I can tell you for a fact Paul's not coming out on Saturday because the Knicks are playing the Hawks at 12 p.m. So Paul, you know, you're not coming out on Saturday because you'll be at home watching the Knicks beat the Hawks and maybe potentially sweeping the Hawks. So I just was throwing it out there. But, you know, I have retracted my statement, Paul, and as Ku said, she doesn't plan on seeing you till May because she doesn't want to see your face, unfortunately.
What? I just want him to have a lot of time with his brand new baby girl because despite what Michael likes to say about me and being a slave driver, that, you know, I kind of get a little bit of a rest there. But guarantee that if this was non-paternity leave Paul, I don't care if the Knicks are playing, then he would have to be out at softball. So at least he can use the baby as a reasoning to not be able to leave the house while the Knicks are playing for now until May comes around. So
I'm trying to figure out if there's an event where like the Pacers were playing that I had to be here working somewhere. I can't remember. I don't know. That's interesting.
Oh no.
I need to check on that.
You don't have to worry about it this year, that's for sure. So at least that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But like you said, nothing else happening on campus. Baseball continues to be on the road. They were able to win the series, or excuse me, not win the series. I was looking at the other schedule. But baseball, this is their I guess they're kind of a or right. This is the big trip. I think it's like just a couple of weeks. They were able to win that series most recently at Cal State Bakersfield 2-1. Put up 14 runs in the game yesterday, which is nice to see, right? Because a lot of this season, the question has been, when are the bats going to come alive? And sometimes they like to disappear. So the baseball able to win that series. But this is when they get to go now and play. They will be tested tomorrow, and it'll be interesting. They play the number 1 team in UCLA tomorrow afternoon, or I guess tomorrow evening for California time. So at UCLA tomorrow, and then they play the number 6 ranked Oregon State this coming weekend on the road. So a nice battle test there for the Rainbow Warriors before coming back home, getting to play Division II opponent University of Hawaii Hilo next week, Wednesday. And then they'll have UC Riverside the weekend of May 1st. But again, good start there on the road at Cal State Bakersfield. Once again, every series at this point is a must-win series, but it'll be interesting to see how they fare against some of these nationally ranked opponents, because if we recall, the softball team had a pretty decent showing when they got a chance to play against UCLA. So here we go with the baseball team now getting their opportunity to play some of these top teams in college baseball on the road. When you take a look at the baseball standings right now, Hawaii middle of the pack right now at the 6th spot, 10-11 in the Big West Conference, just behind CSUN, who has 11-10. Right behind the Rainbow Warriors are UC Irvine and Riverside at 8-10. But at the top of the conference is UC Santa Barbara, 12-6, along with Cal Poly and UC San Diego, all 12-6 in conference. Cal State Fullerton at 11-7. So Hawaii there, as we mentioned, in order to try to solidify a spot in the postseason tournament, they need to every series. I'm not saying every game. I mean, it would be nice to win every single conference game from now till the end of the season. Very, very difficult to do. So, but every series, for the most part, is a must-win series. Should we have hope that Hawaii is going to make it into the postseason tournament? Yeah,
for baseball, it's kind of tough. I hate to. I know we were trying to be in the positive train, but it's kind of tough. But they do have that UCLA game, so hopefully they can kind of show a good showing. And I think they do also have a midweek game next week against Hilo. So that's going to be something where hopefully
Guys, Michael clearly was not paying attention to all of the word vomit that I just threw at you because I just talked about the future schedule there. And I mentioned Hilo next week when they come back.
Yeah, but I'm mentioning it like it's a game for them to have a tune-up game. Because I was looking at that, maybe I might actually be able to cover it because we don't have anything going on that night, I think, in terms of our broadcast schedule. But yeah, for the baseball team, it's a bit tough. It's just they just haven't been consistent, and but it goes to show you how tough the Big West. I will go back to when the University of Hawaii first joined the Mountain West. back in 2024. It's not still a full-time member, and it didn't come from Coach Rich Hill's mouth, but it came from Bob Coolin, who's no longer an employee of the University of Hawaii. So I can kind of. But he said that, Bob Coolin said he was telling Rich, like, when we go to Mountain West, we should be winning it every year because it's not a baseball conference compared to the Big West. So I know that's a big talking point about to pull from a lot of the California talent in the Big West. So yeah, it's gonna be tough. I mean, hopefully they can get to the postseason in their final year as a member of the Big West in terms of baseball, but I will enjoy them playing in the Mountain West because, I mean, not going to be a stronger conference, but you will play against a bit more marquee names, right? And I do want to see them play against the University of Nevada, but yeah, it's going to be tough for them. They just got to kind of put it together and figure it out because. Yeah, it's not looking pretty for the baseball team. So hopefully they can kind of get back on track this week and next week. But they do have, I believe their senior weekend is on a Friday, which is kind of interesting. Weird. But,
yeah, it's like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
But there is graduation season coming up, so I guess it makes sense. But it's well, I guess last year, right, we talking about senior night and softball, they had it like on afternoon, which was weird. So I guess putting on Friday, you will have the better vibes. But yeah, it's weird. It's a very busy weekend. Very busy next couple 3 to 4 weeks here, sports wise in Hawaii.
Well, and then I think softball, right? They did was it Bob Coolin night the night before or something, or was it pregame? I know it's like he didn't want it to kind of coincide with the senior night last year, so I know we had like the Bob Coolin festivities. I forget if it was pregame or postgame or something like that.
It's weird. Don't get me started on some of the marketing things, because even on Saturday night, the whole pigeon thing was a bit weird. Like, if you're gonna get Cole Phillips to be like the guy reading the questions, then put Cole Phillips on the screen, please. Like, you can put like picture in picture where you have Cole Phillips, social media influencer, and then the questions.
That's who it was. That's cool.
But exactly, you didn't know who it was, but like, you're gonna get this guy.
Well, and it was funny because on Fridays or Thursday or Friday, I was talking about when I saw that it was that was their theme, and I was like, man, I wonder who they're going to get like to do the pigeon stuff, because I'm like, it can't be Eric Matthews, and then I'm like, I'm trying to think of their normal people they use, and I'm like, I can't imagine any of them like being and. This is not a knock at any of them. I'm also bad at pigeon as well. So like, I wouldn't put myself up to do the pigeon series. So I was trying to think of everyone that they usually have on the microphone who would do it. Oh, that's cool.
Well, they showed them pregame, but I think in pregame you're kind of like perusing and enjoying yourself somewhere, getting some beverages. But like you can do picture in picture, like put and then have the question on the side. Like that was just my biggest gripe. It's like, you're gonna get this social media influencer guy that has testified on behalf of University of Hawaii Athletics, has done a lot of great videos, but you're not gonna show them on screen. Like, that was my biggest gripe in terms of So don't get me started.
And I actually follow like Cole Phillips, which I feel like you're. Follow a lot of quote unquote influencers, but I do appreciate Cole Phillips because he is very he posts a lot of cool educational videos as well that talks about Hawaii history, and then I know I've seen him speak at some financial stuff. He's very much fighting the good fight separately, about affordability here in Hawaii. So I love that kid. He's one of my favorites. And then he was there, yes, to testify for the House hearing. Yeah, he's one of my favorites, and it's really rare for me to like one of the younger generation of the influencers, because normally they're just annoying and everyone just does everything for clout, and I don't like to follow these people. But yeah, he is definitely one that I have loved. He's just so funny. He's just small kind things, I think, on his Instagram handle, if you guys aren't familiar. But yeah, he's I've got a chance to talk to him after that hearing. Such a nice, bright, articulate young man. So, what a bummer. You're so right. They should have put him on the screen, because you won't recognize his voice right away. I didn't. And then if I saw him on the screen, glad you brought that up, because I had no idea.
Yeah, but I mean, like you said, he is one of the ones good fight, because I've come around to him because I saw him a lot on the sideline during football season. Yeah. And obviously, as a photographer, you're trying to get the best shot. So when these people that get sideline passes, you're in the way. Oh my gosh. But I mean, because he's like, I guess they're just inviting influencers to come to the game. I guess they need something. But yeah, I just wish she was on the screen, you know. But yeah, something to workshop for the next event at the Stan Sheriff Center, because that was the last UH event at the Stan Sheriff Center, unless we get a regional.
Yeah. I know, that's what we were all talking about. Like, wow, is this the last event already? Like I said, we're holding out hope that we'll get one more. I guess 2 more technically, but our team wouldn't play in that other game. But one more men's game in there.
Shout out to the seniors of all the other teams that were recognized. I think at intermission, they brought them out. I think beach volleyball was there. I forgot what others. Maybe
it was
water polo
swimming,
too?
beach volley, but not water polo.
There's a lot.
Cheerleading.
Yes.
Sailing, I think, was another one on there. Yeah, kind of. I think not water polo because they kind of get their own like full senior night where they do have a lot of fans and lay and a lot of coverage. Where some of the other sports, especially something like sailing, you're not on campus, so it's kind of like it's hard to do and stuff. So yeah, that was really cool. And then they do that every year to recognize some of these other teams that normally don't get that type of recognition that they do. So that was
I just
pretty
wish
awesome.
they would announce it. So like, I mean, obviously if you're there, like if you're,
Did they not announce it?
well, I mean they'll announce it like at the game, but like, can you like make that more known? So like I will like in my work, like I'll like be prepared for it. Like if I'm trying to scramble, like it's like
Michael, shame. It's in the game notes.
Okay, well, like they did, well, not everybody reads the game notes, Koo. You know, like the general public doesn't read the game notes.
But you just said for your work, we should I read the game notes.
Yeah, well, normally game notes is like related towards the game, not like stuff like that.
They have the promotions thing in the middle.
Well, they need to do a better job at promoting because no one like.
I don't disagree that they should make it more known in the public, but like they do put it in the game notes where it has like the little. I always like peruse it, and usually it's like only the day of, but at least I'm always like, oh, okay, that's gonna be that, because you're not the first person to like complain about not knowing about certain things in advance, where it. The only place you can find it is in the game notes for some things. And yeah, definitely the senior celebratory stuff that they were going to be recognized was only specifically in the game notes, because I don't think I've seen it well, they might have made one post on Twitter potentially. But yeah, that's about it. But yes, in the future, there is the game notes, or at least in the future, I will know if I see something in the game notes, I need to ping you.
Yeah.
Because
well, I mean, because like football game notes, I'll go and read the football game notes because it's like, okay, like it's, like you get it enough. There's just one game that week, and obviously there's not a lot of sports going on during football season. So like you can actually like peruse the game notes. But like when you get into the spring season, where you have like a kabillion things going on from the high school level, from the HPU level, from the UH level, like it's just hard to keep track. But like if it's on like Instagram, like I'll be more likely to see it. So it goes.
I'm going to take a break now. We'll be right back to close it out here on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
In Hawaii. It's a brand new day.
Back to more Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani and Michael Lasquero on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network. Streaming live at hawaiisportsradio.com and on demand wherever you get those podcasts.
Lemonade, yeah, taste those clouds away. It's a brand new day.
Welcome back to all of you, the beautiful list of all the beautiful people. It's Wake Up in the Den. It's a brand new day. Happy Aloha Monday on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network. Thank you guys again for tuning in and hanging out with us this and every weekday morning from 8 to 10 or on demand. And of course, watching on our YouTube channel as we broadcast live every single Monday. Be sure you like and subscribe. Thank you very much. We had a very, I wonder, Caesar must be busy because we didn't have our usual Caesar live chat chiming in here, which he's always the only one in there. So, oh well, no Caesar today. He must be busy doing Caesar things at this point. But yeah, you guys are always feel free to chime in on the live chat or text us at 808-888-5481. That's 808-888-5481 if you do want to get in on the conversation. All right. Just a few more minutes left here. Again, if you guys are wanting to keep up with some surfing, I'll be out there this afternoon to bring you some surfing coverage. You have the OIA Championships, the inaugural OIA Championships happening this afternoon, or actually going on now technically, as they do have the quarterfinal heats that are ongoing. They are at the boys shortboard quarterfinals right now. So they have different champions that will get crowned of the different divisions. You have girls, boys in bodyboarding, girls, boys in longboard, and girls and boys in shortboard. So the final heats will take place later on this afternoon, which is where I will be out at Kimalo's. But if you want to go and check out some surfing right now, maybe you got some free time during lunch, they'll have surfing Kualo Basin. So our inaugural champs will be of the OIA for surfing. So I'll bring you some of that. And again, tomorrow we'll have OIA baseball between IAEA and Moanalua, presented by Ko'olau Federal Credit Union. You guys can tune in for. If you want to see our schedule, though, go ahead to hawaiisportsradio.com, or you can go to the app where you can get our live play-by-play broadcast schedule as well. So packed week. HPU baseball. Friday we'll have more OIA baseball. Softball on Sunday, HPU softball to close out the week on Sunday. And I kind of joked about this earlier. And yes, I know technically the new week starts on Sundays, but the way that I look at our sports calendar, my mind always goes Monday through Sunday. So that's how I think like Sunday is the end of the week on top of everything else that's happening, as we were talking about earlier with softball senior weekend for UH, in addition to the HPU teams, with Wednesday being a senior day for the baseball Sharks, and then Sunday is senior day for the softball Sharks. So a lot of senior festivities coming off of the senior week or senior weekend for men's volleyball, in addition to everything going on like the NBA playoffs, woo woo, let's go Magic, like the NFL draft happening on Thursday. So it's just a lot of stuff going on. But no, it's really exciting, and it's just mentally preparing for all of the awesome things that we get to do, and the stuff, the coverage that we get to bring to all of you beautiful people.
Yeah, and speaking of the perfect weather, I think we're going to close on this. I have, are you aware of the internet trolling between the Stanford football team and the Cal Bears football team this weekend?
No.
Okay, so I bring that up because, I mean, we do get some, we do get University of California Golden Bears football announcements, because Tyler Tim, I believe the SID for that sport, does email us, right? We're on his mailing list. So he sent a recap about the Cal spring game, and the title of the game, of the headline, of the recap is "Large Crowd Enjoys Cal Spring Game," and I bring that up because they had to cancel their practice at their stadium, right? And which UH is going to open the season. And so there's some relevancy, right? We beat Cal in the Hawaii Bowl, and we're going to at Stanford. So the football account for Stanford put out a tweet where it says, due to expected inclement weather in San Francisco, Saturday's spring practice at Kezar Stadium has been canceled. But they also had new head coach Davita Pritchard and Andrew Luck post a video of them saying or we know we're sorry. I didn't actually click the video, but anyways, Cal in response they had Ron Rivera and Tosh Lupoi in kind of a similar look as the original video, where they in the Cal football tweeted, due to expected perfect weather in Berkeley, Saturday's spring game at California Memorial Stadium will go on. So they were just trolling Stanford, their rival. So when we're talking about weather and how we beat Cal, and so last year we had, I guess, owned the axe or whatever that they have.
Oh yeah.
So I'm just trying to figure out a way to keep the troll rolling when we do get closer to playing Stanford. And if we do beat Stanford, then I'm trying to figure out a way. But yeah, it's just internet trolling between two teams in the ACC that Hawaii has owned in the 2025 season.
And hopefully, it'll continue at least this upcoming season. And that would be interesting. I wonder if Stanford fans would engage as much. It was so fun to kind of troll Arkansas fans when the team was, because they're talking about all this stuff. And it's yeah, dude, your guys' NIL budget is $10 million more than the University of Hawaii and stuff like that. But maybe we can start some troll thing with Stanford. But I don't know if the Stanford fan base is as engaging in that sense as say the Arkansas fan base. So hopefully we'll see what happens.
Well, I mean, I think
and they always have that whole thing, kind of like how UCLA and USC has their whole thing going on.
I think either way, even if Stanford fans aren't with it, the Cal fans will jump on it because they'll support us because we're beating their rival. And just like Stanford fans will probably jump on because we beat their rival in the Hawaii Bowl, So and that should be a fun. I definitely think that we should maybe have a home and home series with Cal, while JKS is there and all the Hawaii boys that end up playing for Cal. I think that'll be very fun and a good test, like we mentioned in hour one, for our Hawaii players to play a Power 4 team consistently, and that something that has good vibes, right? Kind of wrapping the whole show together, we talked about UH potentially selling tickets already for a regional. Is this a Jeff Reinbold situation where he has the Cal tape while they're getting the hula dancers coming in, where we kind of know it's a done deal, but we got to be coy about it, But yeah, just good vibes all around at Lower Campus at Manoa.
Woohoo! And hopefully, like you mentioned, the good stays the way that it is this week with all of the outdoor festivities and sports that we've got to cover and be out at. So today, good weather for surfing so far. Like I said, I didn't get a chance to check the surf report out. So, but hopefully there are good waves out there for the young athletes that are competing today in the OIA Surfing Championships. But yeah, the beautiful weather right now, and hopefully we get this weather throughout the week because we will be outside a lot. So I hope I can continue maybe getting at least some color that I have right now. All right, but that's our show. Mahalo to you guys for tuning in on YouTube or live, or if you're listening back on demand. We appreciate you, but we will chat tomorrow about a bunch of other stuff that is coming up, and I'll have your recap of what happens this afternoon in the OIA Surfing Championships. But again, for now, we got to go. Mahalo for listening, or for Michael Lasquero, I'm Ku'ule Agbayani. Mahalo for It's been Wake Up in the Den. Bye!
You're listening to the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, streaming 24/7 at hawaiisportsradio.com and on the new Hawaii Sports Radio app.
And all